Welcome to this podcast. This is, I don't know if we're going to have a season, guys, probably one episode. But I've got good friends of mine, Clay Shively and Sam Ferguson, and we're going to talk running today. We're going to talk your stories and what God's done these last years. And so, welcome. Hope you'll enjoy this. So you guys doing good?
Doing really good. Excited.
Yeah,
doing well.
How's summer been?
It's been going by good, but honestly, too quick.
Too quick?
Yeah.
You guys are training hard right now or not too bad?
Yeah, training hard, just slowly building up the mileage and just trying to get to campus in the fall, just fit enough to not get dropped by all the college guys.
And where are you going, Sam, to college?
I'm going to Ole Miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So excited. We'll talk about that journey, how you got there. And then Clay, how's your summer been?
Yeah, it's been really good. Season for both of us kind of went, didn't end at the state meet. We got to go to middle of June, and then I took some time off, went to Kenya.
Yeah, you went to Kenya.
Ethiopia, and
it's awesome.
I was really great. So I ran whenever I could there. Now that I'm back, just
kind of getting
building up
into
the mileage again. So
yeah. We had a little run today.
Yeah, we did.
Followed you. I was on my bike for 6 miles, and then I did a mile. How'd I do, guys?
Did awesome.
10-minute mile. We didn't set any records.
We did 10. You said
10
we were going to go 12 minutes.
We were going to go 12, and it was 10.
We were going.
We were moving. That was kind of fun.
That was really good.
Yeah.
You've said that for a couple months now. We wanted to do that. We've been trying to make it happen. But
yeah, so it's fun to run with you guys. All right, so we're going to talk your journey. Tell me what high school you guys went to.
Went to Trinity Academy in Wichita.
Trinity, it's a small school.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, how long have you guys known each other?
We met as freshmen. So
I think we met as freshmen, but there was one time.
Oh yeah.
Because we had mutual friends in 6th grade.
Okay.
Trenton, Womack, and Elliot Casamento.
Yeah.
And so through soccer, and they went to my elementary, they knew me, and then they also knew Clay because they moved to Trinity and for middle school. So then Trenton lived right by me, and so he had Clay over, and then they went to my house.
So we got a little introduction.
We met
middle school
in 6th grade.
But you guys in middle school are not runners at this point, are you? Not real. Not training.
No.
Clay, you were playing football?
Yeah, I was playing. So I was soccer growing up, and then in 5th or 6th grade, I switched from soccer to football and baseball. And so
you're playing that.
Baseball,
and Sam, you were soccer as well.
Soccer, big soccer. That's what my plan was to do all of high school, actually.
So you're playing. So we show up Trinity High School, right? Freshman year. Clay, you were going out for football, correct? How long did that last? You made 2 weeks or?
A good chunk of the summer. It kind of started out as just weightlifting, and then we got more into the route running and stuff like that. And once we got the pads on, I wasn't.
Yeah, you weren't.
I didn't last long, but no, it wasn't for me. I had kind of thought I'd just give it a try, but then realized just things with you could tell that I could tell it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna be it. So then your dad encouraged you, or how did you kind of?
Yeah, so normally we're like a no quitter family. If you started, then you gotta finish it out. But since it was so new and they wanted me to enjoy my first year of high school, they kind of gave me the go ahead. Well, you can stop playing football, but if you're gonna do that, then you have to pick something else up. And so it was at that time that both of our running journeys kind of started. Well, I actually ran 1 year of middle school track, and I think you did as well, right?
Ran 1 year. It's a little bit of running.
We both ran in 7th grade. I think I ran a 550 mile maybe or something like that.
So pretty, not what we're going to do now.
Yeah.
And then Sam, you were out for soccer as well, right?
Yeah.
Did you do that your whole freshman year?
My whole freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, you did both?
I played soccer.
Okay.
That was the main focus. And then...
Yeah,
and then...
We'll get into that. But yeah, and so then what's kind of fun connecting my son, Ethan, junior year, played football, has concussion. So Coach Eric Carroll is one of their head coaches. He's talking to Ethan at Desert Steel and saying, hey, we need more guys on the team. Ian was trying to build this team up and got Ethan to come. I love this story. Ethan's running on the team and he could not break 20 minutes, on the 5K, and he's running And I remember him saying, "Why, Dad, is Clay Shively? He just started running. He's beating me already." And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Ethan, maybe he's just built for running." So little did we know, but that was kind of fun. You guys had nicknames your freshman year. Do you guys remember those nicknames?
Yeah, we all got nicknames.
So what was your nickname, Sam?
Mine was Legat.
Legat? So what did that? What
so the first day or one of the first week I was at practice, Coach Randy, he showed up for like one of the workout days.
Yeah.
And so it was like a 6:30 a.m. practice. The sun was had just risen. And so we were doing like a fartlek workout.
Yeah.
And so we were running over the stadium and then down like the hill and then around the track and doing like a loop with the hill. And so he saw me running over the top of the stadium and like could just see my silhouette. And he was like, "Oh, his form reminds me of a famous runner named Bernard Lagat."
Okay.
He was a Kenyan, but he got American citizenship. And I don't know all of his stats, but he was one of the best American runners to ever run.
So that was your nickname.
Yeah.
And what about you, Clay?
Mine was Michelangelo.
Okay.
It's like, I think it was a combination of, I think I got it later in my freshman year when I started coming into form a little more. And first off, he was like, "Call you Michelangelo because your name is Clay." And it's like an artist works with clay. But then it was, he started to say after I'd have a good workout or something, he's like, "Man, you painted a masterpiece with that workout." And then so kind of combined them. And
that's fun. And Ethan's was Diesel, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ethan's was Diesel.
Was that because of his truck or because he was slow or what was that?
I think that was actually one of the very few cases of a self-proclaimed name. He thought it sounded really cool and he asked, and Randy was like, "Yeah, you can be
so
Diesel.
That was Ethan.
It's fitting."
That's funny.
He was Diesel.
All right, so freshman year, talk to me. How'd that go? Did you guys enjoy running? Did it click, or is it like this is a new sport? I'd like to hear. Yeah,
you started before me, so you go.
Yeah, I started. Before Clay, because I trained through the summer. Like after soccer, I'd just go to cross country practice. But it was really fun. Like the first few weeks. That's what I always tell new runners. Like the first few weeks is just brutal. But once you get past that.
Yeah,
I started to just like fall in love with the sport.
So you loved it from the beginning.
Yeah. And looking back on freshman year, I think it was really cool to almost be a little bit ignorant to the sport. Be kind of oblivious. You don't know anything. Yeah. So you're just out there. You're just going. You don't second guess anything. You don't you're not an expert on all the different trainings things and all the different pro runners. You're just doing it just for what it is, and that's just running,
Yeah. So what was your best time your freshman year in cross country?
So in cross country, my best time I think was 17:10.
17:10, and then you continued into track.
Into track.
And then did you do the mile?
I did the mile and ran 4:40.
So that's pretty good.
And then, and that was my best freshman year.
Yeah. And did you just get into the 2 mile already? The 32?
I did it once or twice.
Okay.
And I ran about 10:36, I think.
Yeah, anything else from your freshman year you learned from that?
I learned probably that I needed to just pick between soccer or cross country. And then I made the mistake of doing both again the next year. And then I figured it out.
Yeah, and then you figured it out.
Yeah.
That's good. So then Clay, you ran. You made that team. How'd you do your freshman year of cross country?
Yeah, so a little bit of a similar story, except I started maybe a week or two before the season, our first meet. And so I had a lot of kind of that ignorance to the sport, really didn't know much about it. I remember the first 5K I ran felt like an eternity. It just felt like the longest race ever. But no, I began to get more passionate about it. The thing that really I loved about my freshman year was I just it wasn't great time for me, socially, just getting into, I wasn't sure if Trinity was a school I wanted to go to even. And then, but I kind of found just this safety and this community within the cross country team, which was really special and kind of, I feel carried me through the year. So that definitely stands out. But yeah, so I was on, Ethan and I were on JV at the start of the season. And then I remember he got to varsity.
You had COVID or something, didn't you?
And I got COVID. And so he got onto varsity. And then before I had ever run on varsity. And then after I came back, I made it up to varsity. And I think I started like second on JV that year and ended like fourth on varsity.
So what was your best time that year?
I ran like 17:40.
Okay, so you got up to 17:40.
Yeah, we both I think PR'd at our regional meet. So we didn't make it to state.
You guys were really gunning for state, weren't you?
Yeah, it was a weird year with normally 3 teams from each regional make it to state, and with COVID that year they like spread it out. Only 2 teams made it, and we would have made it and actually done fairly well, maybe top 10 maybe at state if we would have made it through, but we got put in the really tough regional, so we didn't make it. But and then one thing I remember about freshman year was after cross country, Sam and Jacob, and then that's when Wes Ferguson started running too. They all trained through the winter, and I chose to do Tarzan the musical.
Okay.
So that was a little bit different route. I remember like when I'd see Eric or Randy, they'd be like, "You been running?" I'm like, "Yeah," but I was not running. Like it was like too much for me to try and do both. But I had fun with that, and then got rolling again with the team in the spring whenever track started back up. And so I went on to Sam and I both qualified for state
as freshmen. In the mile?
I qualified in the 8. He was in the mile.
Okay.
And so, or the 1600. And I think I ran like 203 or 204 in the 800 and went on to run maybe 446, 447 or something like that. My freshman year.
Okay, so you kind of had a pivotal moment. It was the state meet.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Randy pulls your parents to side. Is that right?
Yes.
So tell us kind of that moment. Because here you are again running an okay time, but not any idea what was going to come for you, Clay. So what happened after that state? What did Coach Randy say?
Yeah, so I had just an okay race. I think I got maybe 6th place, 5th place. And it was after the race that Coach Randy had pulled me and my parents aside, and I was like, gosh, what is this about? And he started to tell me and my parents that, hey, I want you guys to realize just the potential that Clay has, and his words, he would say a natural miler.
Okay.
So mechanically and just physiologically have what it takes to become decent or good at the mile distance specifically. I think it has to do with your ability to get through the first 3 laps comfortably, and then your ability to turn it on with the top end speed, as we call it. And so he's talking about all this stuff, and my dad just looks at him and he goes, "That's great, but I'm Clay's dad." He's like, "That's cool, but I think you got the wrong kid." Like I was never a star athlete at anything. Like I enjoyed doing sports, and I did sports my whole life, but just never was a standout or anything like that. And so that was kind of when I started to get a vision for what running could become.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just decided then right after my freshman year that I was going to take it seriously and that I was going to lean into the training. And I told my coach, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it, because I know nothing about this sport, and he's very experienced, very knowledgeable. So I just leaned into that. That's
Coach Randy's been around a long time, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's from Miami, and then he was a runner, did really well in NAIA, and then ran professionally with a group that was started here a Nike group started here in Wichita for a bit.
Yeah, so he's been around this sport, so he knew. So what did that, just having just the power of words, isn't it? Somebody to speak and believe and see something in you that, no idea that your parents would have seen, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So you bought into training. So now sophomore year, you guys ran and you guys had a great year, didn't you? Great.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me a little about sophomore year. Didn't you?
Yeah, talk to me about this.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. So, well, that we like our freshman, or we were sophomores, but like entering into sophomore year, that freshman class, me, Clay, Jacob, Wes, Ian, and Caleb Toughlin just became a freshman. We all like bought in and like
so group of 5 of you guys.
Yeah, and so we trained through the whole summer, bumped our mileage up quite a bit from last year. And we just all like, let's just be consistent, see what happens. Let's see if we can make a run for state and just get redemption from the last year. And so we get to regional, and was it at Southeast of Saline's course? So our big rival team was Southeast of Saline. And they'd won the past like 3 or 4.
They're a great team, aren't they?
They're just a powerhouse in 3A. And so we show up to their meet. It's like 12 degrees outside, I think. And like, we're just like, let's just give it everything we have for each other. And let's make it to state. And so we end up making it to state.
Did you beat them? Did you beat them at regional?
I think we lost by 1 point.
We lost by 1 point. So we had raced them once earlier in the season, and we kind of
I think we won. We whooped them,
And then regionals, they beat us by 1 point. So it was like the
right
headlines in Kansas Mile Split were like, "This is the meet to watch."
Fun.
They're 1-1, but yeah.
Yeah, and so then state was at Wamego, and if you've ever been to Wamego, you know there's 7 crucial hills.
Yeah,
and it's just a brutal course, and so we knew we would just have to pull on all those training runs we've done on hills to kind of get us through that one. And so I remember before the race, just the anxiety, the pressure we'd put on ourselves. We just did not want to let each other down. We knew we had a great chance. And Ian, who's our captain, he just starts to kind of break down a little bit, and just that raw emotion. And we all just surround him and kind of pray together before the race. And we're just like, you know what, no matter what happens, at the end of the day, it's just running. And you know, we still love every one of you guys, no matter what happens. And so that kind of gave us a peace before we started. And then the gun went off, and we just ran our hearts out. And then we all kind of huddled up after the race, and we didn't know if we won.
Close.
We thought we did. And then we saw it pull up on the phone with all the live results, and we just went nuts. We went nuts.
And Clay, you got second that year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, who was that was that kid. He was really good as well.
He was from that rival school. His name was Dylan Sprecher.
He did well that year. But that's cool. So you all of a sudden found your stride. You started putting down better times, didn't you, sophomore year?
Yeah. I think I ran like maybe low 16.
Okay.
16:20.
Yeah, 16:20, something like that.
Yeah. And what'd you do?
16:50.
Yep. So improved by over a minute or something there. Yep. Then heading into track, you guys are now, really putting more miles in, right? Did you guys feel your legs kicking in? I mean, by this time now, kind of year and a half in, did you feel that strength and endurance kicking in, or?
I think that I don't know, it was probably equal between that summer training block before sophomore year and that winter training block in the middle of sophomore year, that all of us really kind of grew a lot gained a lot of strength, became comfortable with mileage, like learned the grind of going out and running and layering up, and when it's 15 degrees, 10 degrees, and just kind of dedicating to the grind of doing it every day. And so we grew a lot during that period. And I think the moment we hit the track after that training block, we all knew that we could see that we had all grown a lot.
And is that when the sense that you guys started sensing that we actually have something special here? Was that, already your sophomore year at cross country, or when did it click like, wow, this is really special what we're a part of? Was there a moment for you guys?
I think it was definitely that state meet where we won, and we're just all sophomores, and we have 2 more years.
Yeah.
And so if we can win state now, this could be we could leave a real legacy
for you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you talk to Randy and Eric, they'll talk about how some of the best teams in the country will have 200 to 300 guys out on the cross country team.
Yes.
200 to 300 guys. And I think the most Trinity has ever seen, historically has probably barely ever had enough to form a full varsity and JV team. So like we're talking maybe 10 to 15 guys usually on the team. And so it's like when you have this whole pool of 300 guys to find the most talented ones and form the elite top 7 out of those, it's like no wonder you're going to do well. But so I think for Eric and Randy to see that we have the potential to be great with this tiny 300-person school, they started to talk about it a lot, and we'd hear them talk about it, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But it was more just like we heard them say it, but then kind of that middle of sophomore year, end of cross country, beginning of track, we started to see, oh, this is what they're talking about. Like, no, there's not, there's no other team in the state of Kansas that has 4 guys that are capable of running low 9 minutes or 9:20s in the 3200 and things like that. And so we started to kind of catch more vision for it.
That's awesome. So any other highlights from track from your sophomore year? How'd state go for both of you guys?
Well, before state, I feel like I kind of had my breakout race, which I brought.
Bring that. I want to see some of your medals here.
Yeah, Matt had the good idea of having us bring some memorabilia. So this was the Shawnee Mission North.
Okay, that's right.
Relays, which I think my seed time at the time was maybe like 4:19. So I'd made the fast heat of this race, and I just remember all I knew was that I was going to try and run like 63 seconds for the first couple laps. And so I was sitting in like 8th place or something like that with maybe 600 meters to go, lap and a half to go, and ended up making my way up and ran a smart race and closed really hard and ran 4:10 for the 1600, which I believe was maybe like the sophomore state record. So the fastest sophomore time. And then that was a really big race, because so when you get into running, you get into like mile split and where it shows everyone's time in the nation, and you learn these names, and you scroll down and see yours, where you lie. But at that time, if you clicked on sophomores in the USA, then my name was at the top. And so that was like crazy, weird feeling, like realizing that
you just put down a serious time as a sophomore.
Yeah. And so I could keep chasing this, and maybe that's when I started thinking more like college and
so that shifted. That race really opened up something for you. That's really cool. So that was your sophomore year. So that's awesome. Really cool. Yeah. Do you have any moments like that for you, Sam, your sophomore year, or any breakout races or anything highlights from?
I wouldn't say breakout races, but definitely watching that race from the stands. It it just kind of inspired our whole team, and that's when we all kind of thought like, okay, wow, like our teammate just did something crazy special. Like, let's all just it just raises the bar. Yeah. And so that was like a crucial moment for our program.
So everybody
it helped everybody.
Yeah. So not only Clay, it was inspirational for him, but it helped all of you guys. Like, oh, we are part of something here. Mm-hmm. Yep. So what was state like then for you guys?
Oh, state was an upset for me, kind of.
Yeah, you had some goals, didn't you?
Yeah, my seed time in the state was the fastest by 4 or 5 seconds. And so I was really confident, but also nervous at the same time, because the guy that beat me in cross country, I was going to be going against him again, and he had beat me by like 20 seconds at state cross country. So I was like, gosh, I hope, even though my seed time's faster, I hope I can get there. And it was a tough race. I led the first 3.5 laps, and
I remember that
he was sat on me the whole way, and then got out kicked. I didn't feel great. Didn't really feel myself that day. I'd kind of gotten sick a week before.
It was warm. I mean, it's always warm.
But you never know. You can't really make those excuses.
So that was in the 1600?
Yeah, that was the 1600. And then came back. He beat me again in the 800.
Yeah, so you got second, though.
Yeah.
Gave vision. And
it was disappointing in the time, but I was realizing in that moment that I still had 2 more years to do that. That was encouraging to know.
And then what did you do at state year or sophomore year, Sam?
I think I just ran the 3200.
Yeah. What place did you get
and I didn't do as well as I wanted. I think I might have made the podium, which was top 8.
Yeah.
I think I barely squeaked onto the podium.
Yeah. So you were still kind of rounding into form then.
Yep. And one thing that, like, a big lesson I learned was like the lesson of like fueling and how like eating is such a important part of running. And so like doing 2 sports and then, you know, I guess I didn't prioritize eating enough. And so like, you know, my body was just always just, you know, ending workouts short, just like feeling fatigued all the time. And so that was like a big lesson.
It's lots to learn, isn't it, in running? It's not just going out and running. It's eating and resting, training. I mean, all those things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when people ask me for advice about running, I usually don't give them training or anything like that. I'm just like, do the little things.
Yeah, sleeping.
Sleeping is huge.
Taking care of your body,
fueling,
all of that.
hydration, stretching, rolling out, you know, all the recovery stuff we've talked about.
Yeah, there's lots. Okay, so head into our junior year. And so now you guys are upperclassmen.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of know what's coming. You guys probably were excited to defend state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so talk about any highlights from cross country that year.
Olathe.
Oh yeah, we did. We were in the Olathe meet. Which did we get second there, or second or third?
Second or third.
He started enrolling you guys in some bigger meets.
We started to do bigger meets that year. We went up to Minnesota for the biggest meet in the Midwest.
So you did that as juniors already.
Yeah.
What was that like being this small school competing? Was that pretty surreal?
Well, we got our box, like, you know how they line everyone up. Our box was in the dead center of the entire race, and there's 400 plus kids in this race. And so if like you watch the video of how it went out, we just got swarmed.
I think it goes from probably 90 yards wide to 30 yards wide.
Just right away.
Right away.
Yeah, in 100 meters, 200 meters. So it's like it's intense, and we all got kind of swallowed up.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
but
and then so how'd that race go though? Did you guys do okay, or was that?
I think we got 7th, which our expectations were top 3, like podium, which is like for a school our size with like only 10 guys on the team. That's like very high expectations. But when you look back, like 7th in a field of 20, 30
still was
plus
great
teams, it was really good.
Yeah,
it was a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How'd you do at that race? Did you?
I think I came in like maybe 5th or so, 5th or 6th. We had run a really a faster course earlier that season, which was a really fun race up in Kansas City, and so I had a really good seed time, and my seed time was the fastest in the field. But I was going up against some really strong seniors too, and I was just a junior at that time. So I was like, my expectation was winning, and so coming up short, I was disappointed. I think that might have been one of the top 3 most painful races of my life, because we weren't ready for the hills. So we talked about, like, there's Wamego and Rimrock are the 2 big courses in Kansas, and those have just a couple real intense hills, whereas this course is just rolling little hills the whole way, and they just suck it out of you. They
tear your legs up.
Yeah, tear your legs up.
Yeah, like Randy says, you can't even lay a 2x4 flat.
Yeah,
on the
you
course.
can't lay a
it's
flat.
Like that rolling.
It's just up and down, up and down.
Yeah,
so.
it's brutal, but we went on to get state again.
Got state. You won state.
Yes, that was my first
state
individual title, which was a cool moment. I remember I got eaten up by that course too, because I was trying to go after a time, which cross country is fun to run fast times, but it's not about time and all about time. So I was trying to break the course record because a guy had broken it in the 6A race before me, and so. But man, it was hot by the time I ran.
Yeah, it was later in the morning. I remember that.
It was later, and so I made it to the finish line and got first, thankfully. But I was like holding on for
Jacob
dear life.
Almost.
Yeah,
our teammate Jacob almost caught you.
Jacob, our teammate, was closing in on me. He got second place. So
yeah, that's cool. So you guys did great. You guys won state. Sam, how'd you do?
I did. Yeah, I think I placed 8th.
Yeah,
or so. So we got the low points.
You guys had, what'd you have, 3 or 4 in the top 10 that year?
I think so. We had, we're in the top. Yeah.
Me, Caleb. Yeah. All 4 of us.
Caleb, I think, got 9th.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
that's awesome.
Ian
so
was like 12th.
Yeah, you guys did awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and then your indoor season, was that your first junior year, first time to do indoor?
Yeah. So there came a point our junior year where we had to decide there's like a couple national meets for cross country. One of them's called NXN, which you have to go to NXR, Nike Cross Regionals, to qualify for NXN, Nike Cross Nationals. And so there was talk, are we going to go do this? Or there's this another national meet that started the year before that kind of was in place of NXN because of COVID. That was in Alabama, and we were like, maybe we'll go to that. And we ended up kicking around the idea a lot, and I think we ended up just deciding that we were gonna take our week or two off, and then just get rolling and try and have a good indoor season. And so that's what we all did. And I don't know if you can narrow it down to one breakout race or anything like that, but that race that I talked about earlier from my sophomore year was a big race for me. But this race that I started my junior year indoor season with, we did one 3K at Pitt State, and that was fun. But then I went and ran a mile the next week and ended up running 4:04, which is when I had broken the Jim Ryan record.
It's the indoor mile?
Yeah, it's his indoor mile record for the state.
And so suddenly when you did that, that's kind of remember where suddenly your name, people are like really paying attention, aren't they? If you get mentioned in the same sentence as Jim Ryan, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's still like crazy to me to think about that. There are so many different things like indoor track back then, and I think it was like a wood track with leather spikes and stuff. And whereas this is like, it was at University of Arkansas, and some people even call that one of the fastest tracks in the world. Okay. So it's like it's not the same. Like I'm not like Jim Ryan, but just the fact that like he ran that time, and I was able to dip under that was really special.
Yeah. So I remember kind of that is like, okay, people started talking about these times. Mm-hmm. Was that when you really started? Okay, you hit 4:04. You're like, okay, the 4-minute mile. Is that when that year you're like, okay, this is now going to become a real goal?
Yeah, I think I had that goal at the end of my sophomore year.
So you started having it already then.
I was like, man, 10 seconds, I can shave that off. But then I was like, 4 seconds, I can really shave that off. Like, I'd go and do that tomorrow. I feel like I'd get there. But
so that became one of your big pursuits.
A lot more. Those 4 seconds can mean a lot.
You go from 6 in 1 year, but the next 4 are pretty hard.
Right.
And we'll get into some of those races here in a second.
Yeah.
So, and then anything else, Clay, from your junior year?
Well, that was kind of the thing about my 4:04 time was it put me on the map. And so I started getting invited to some of the more national meets. So I went to New York and Boston that indoor season, and it was neither of them were my best races. I was like kind of going into them like, this is the day to break 4, something like that. But then just like was realizing that racing national meets is different than racing like a meet back home, and racing on an indoor track is harder than racing on an outdoor track. There's way shorter straightaways and way more times on the curve, and so that was something to get used to as well. And then even the 1 or 2 postseason races I ran, just was still learning during those. So I was kind of figuring out how to navigate through the races, and feel like I walked out of that season with a lot more just knowledge and experience.
Yeah, that experience helped.
Yeah, and that really set me up well, I think, for my senior year. And I finished at 4:01. So I got to 4:01.
Got 4:01
junior. And
did you do that at St. Louis?
In St. Louis at the Festival of Miles.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing, epic race, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really special to be a part of. That was the fastest ever high school.
Yeah. So I think there's
mile race.
We're up to 21, 22 guys that have been.
Yeah, I think 22 have done it now.
But in that race,
four guys did it.
That's unbelievable when you think in the history of the mile.
Yeah, it was crazy. So
you gotta be a part of that.
Yeah, and I was like disappointed a little bit that I didn't break 4, but also it was one of those races where I walked away knowing that I actually gave it absolutely everything I had.
So pretty close. So and then in the finish, you got 800. And the 1600 at state.
Oh yeah, I got both of those.
Got both of those.
Yeah, so got my redemption.
Yeah, that was fun to get that.
Yeah.
And then Sam, walk us through your 3,200 meter journey.
Yeah. So, Yeah, like Clay, I started the indoor season with a meet at Pitt State, and I think it was a 3K, so I ran 8:52, which converts to like a 9:30 maybe in the 3,200. And so after the race, my coach tells me like the standard for these national meets is 8:50.00. And so I'd run 8:52, and I was like, oh, I wish I would have known that, and maybe I could have shaved 2 seconds. Yeah. And so then the week later, I also ran the meet at the University of Arkansas. And so that was my one goal is let me get the 8:50 standard. And so it went out well. I was running comfortably. Yeah. I actually took the lead at one point and just was going for it. And then I just started to kind of lock up, and I just like leaned at the line, and then I looked up at the scoreboard and it said 8:50.00. And so
really,
I literally, like, we had to email them, like the standard said on the website 8:50.00. That's the exact time I ran. No,
that's
not
unbelievable.
0.01, 0.00. And so we were like, man, sometimes God just gives you what you need and not what you want.
Amazing.
And so I was able to go to Boston and run in the New Balance Nationals, and I was in the last heat. No pressure, and that was probably my breakout race of junior year.
So you got some good experience. And
got
then
some good experience. I ended up winning the 3,200.
Yeah, were you thinking that, or were you hopeful?
Not at all.
You were just going for it.
I was just going for it. It kind of like came down to the final 50 meters. I led the whole way because no one wanted to take it out. And then that's just like takes a toll on you to lead the whole race. And then I got passed, and I was like, change of plans. I'm just going to hang on and see if I can outkick them at the end. And then just gave it everything. And then the last 50 meters, I broke the kid. And
you have any of your state champ medals, you guys, from those years? I don't know. Did you bring any of those? If you don't,
I did.
See if any of your state. No problem if you
bring
don't.
one. But.
Well, that was I remember Sam, and I was going to say, what's been fun being with you guys is that we have personal connection for many years. I've known you, Clay, for a lot of years. Your family. But, Sam, your dad's one of my favorite people, and we're McPherson guys. And so I've known him 30 years. So it's fun just to get to know you. And I remember, going to that race. I don't think I knew that you were, I just knew you were doing well. And I was like, oh man, Sam just won. That was awesome to watch you win.
Thank you.
So there's some of your state.
Yeah, I think these are all my state.
That's awesome.
Like wins. So
there they are. We got to show those off.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So the 800, 400 cross country, 2 years.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. 2 years cross country, and then I think 4 total on the track.
Yep. So back to back. Yes. Okay. So then guys not graduate, get ready for Ian. Talk just to you guys a little bit about Ian Carroll.
Yeah, Ian's one of my best friends, and I was just in Africa with him, and he's just like, one time I heard someone say his spiritual gift is recruiting, which is like very accurate. Like he just gets people excited about stuff. Like literally, like he took a football player, a soccer player, 2 soccer players, and a guy that didn't know much about running, and just got us amped up for this sport called running, and so that's just kind of him in a nutshell. Like he just when he gets passionate, he's a very passionate guy, and then he is just so good at getting other people to see a vision. And
he rallied this team, didn't he?
Yeah,
he's a real
100%.
leader for you guys those years.
Yeah. I don't think I would have known who Jim Ryan was, or if I would have known just kind of the significance of just some of the cool things in running if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, he was a real forerunner for you guys.
Yeah.
Anything you'd say about Ian?
Yeah, I mean, he is a recruiter. He's one of the most persuasive guys I know. In summer PE, like before freshman year, he every single day he was like, just come out for one practice. Just try it one time. And he was just relentless, and I finally agreed.
But you weren't going to do it.
I was not going to do it. I ran track in 7th grade, and kind of my parents just wanted me to do it. Yeah. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't really I didn't even know what cross country was. And so I showed up, and I mean, it was just a blast. And the community, like
That's
Clay
fun.
said, kind of sold me
Well, that's
you know,
so cool with Ian. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was spiritual leader for sure in the school and just a leader. So here he graduates, but we've got this group of, I guess, 4 or 5 of you, and Wes had some injuries, but you guys went in with some high hopes in you and just some goals. So talk kind of about your senior year, that cross country season. You kind of had some cool moments there, Clay.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard because we had really wanted to like this to be our year to go big, to make the national meet, the NXN meet, and the hard thing was we had the talent on the team to do it. It just running is an unforgiving sport sometimes, and so we had just it felt like setback after setback with injuries and just training stuff that was hard for some people that and ended up leading to some injuries, and so that was difficult because we kind of thought we were gonna get some chances, but we had a really fun time making the most out of that year. We went back to Minnesota, and we got, I don't know if we did great on the team score, but
because you guys about the same as
I think we got 7th.
But you need five to score.
Yeah, so you need, it's a little bit about cross country scoring. You need so 5 guys score on the team out of the 7 runners, and so basically, if you get first place, then you get 1 point. If you get first and 5th place, then that's 6 points. You know, and so on, and so you want to get as many guys as close as low as possible, and so when you have 4. Then it can be difficult because you can maybe get 4 guys in the top 10, but then if your 5th guy is 270th place, then that's a lot of points right there. So it's kind of, that's where we had some struggles this year, was finding that 5th guy and still being able to progress and see the vision. So.
And again, at these other schools, it's just mix man up.
Yeah, it's like if one guy is out, then it's like, all right, we got a guy that's 5 seconds.
But that year you needed all 5. So but you had to talk about some individual. You at Shawnee, or was it Kansas City? You had a good time.
The Olathe
race. That's right.
Twilight race that we had ran the year before. Broke the state record for the 5K there. That was a super fun race. It's just like high energy. Fast course. People say it's short. It's really, it's like, if it is short, it's not how short people say it is. It's, people are like, oh, it's a 3-mile course, it's not even a 5K. It's definitely not a 3-mile course, but like you finish on the track and stuff like that. So it just sets you up really nicely for a fast time. And so we had a great race there. And then went to the Roy Griek again in Minnesota, and that's where I broke the course record there and got the win, which was super exciting. That was kind of, I'd run what I talked about, like about getting to run those national meets to set me up for my senior year. Like I felt like I just had so much more knowledge going into this most recent one. And so approached the race a lot differently and just felt a lot more confident and strong. Yeah. So getting the win, that was kind of my first win on a national stage, which was that
was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then anything, Sam, you guys defended a title or 3-time? That's right.
3-time state champions in 3A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think maybe our team would have been the best all classes too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But
yeah. It's cool.
We crossed the line about how we are right
you
now.
guys ran just state together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was
ran
super
together.
Awesome moment.
You were deciding not to lay a hard time, right? Because you had some other races. And
we had NXR the following week.
We were focused on that NXR race, and I love just thinking back on the state meet, because I kind of had my goal, my plan that we had talked about was to go out and try and bring some of those guys along with me, and then whenever they started dying out, then Sam was going to make his move to get up there, and so we did exactly that. And I remember we were just approaching 2 miles, and I heard someone behind me, and I was like, I don't know who this is. I think it's a Southeast guy. But then I just heard Sam go, "I'm here, Clay." And so I look back and I see Sam there, and we we just lock in stride together and run it all the way.
So you ran the last mile together.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching one of the turns, and I never know the strategies of what. Remember, Sam, you were like, I don't know, if 8th or 10th, you know.
I was even farther back.
Further back. And I'm like, all right, Sam, what's going on? And
then there's this one ginormous hill.
Right.
And so the downhill, like, I was flying down that thing. Like, I was about to face plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I caught so many guys on the downhill, and then
I just remember so hyped when you came around one of those turns. It was like, there's the guys. That was so fun to see you two and just running together.
Super special.
Yeah, so very special. Mm-hmm. So you get 3-time state champs as a team. How cool is that, guys?
Yeah, really
that's just
special.
something to reflect. That's a unique thing for Trinity and something we can celebrate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So and then we get into
the NXR.
Yeah, and so here's some real goals.
I mean, it was hard again because we knew, like, in the past, like, gosh, we can get there, but then just with our lineup, I think it's only 2 teams that go, so we had to get top 2, and we just I don't think anyone had their best day that day. But
it was a hard race,
and it was hard trying to do it with 4 guys, but
yeah.
But,
you guys went hard as a team, and
good experience though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
and you
go ahead.
But you qualified individually.
Yeah, that was another hard thing about my senior year. So I ended up getting 5th place. So top 5 individuals and top 2 teams make it to nationals, and then I got 5th place to qualify for nationals, and then ended up developing a foot injury.
Yeah,
I'd kind of developed it right before that race and ran on it, and then I think that made it worse. And so I was faced with the same decision I was the year before. Do I run through and try and go to the national meet, or do I just take some rest and get ready for indoor track again? And so that's what we decided once again. Yeah,
make that decision. Sometimes you have to use that wisdom, don't you?
Yeah,
be patient and
it's hard. It's hard because you just want to run and you just want to go after the race, but you could really either have a miserable race or you could set yourself back more.
Yeah, running's not, I think I've often thought following you guys, basketball, if somebody gets injured, again, you're on a team, you can hide something, right? Mm-hmm. But running, it is just you and your legs and your lungs. And if you don't have full strength that day, that's a big thing. So. Mm-hmm. Okay, so indoor season, then your senior year. Clay, this is when we start having some goals, and this was, some high things, but also some hard stuff. You want to talk a little bit about your journey on the quest to 4 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. So I was 4:10 sophomore year. I was like, okay, it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen junior year, but I don't know. And then 4:01 junior year, I was like, okay, that's fine. I still got some time. And so I was like, senior year, this is my time to break 4 minutes. Was like a little nervous from that injury I had because it set me back a little longer than I thought. But I was like, I got plenty of time. So I was in Boston 3 different weeks out of that indoor season, and went to first race. I think I ran like 4:04. Was kind of a rust buster, and got maybe 3rd or 4th in that race, and had watched a guy break 4 in that race. So I was like, okay, that's a little bittersweet, but I'm like, I'm going to get there. And then, so next, stay in Boston for that whole weekend, or actually stayed in DC and then went to Boston again that weekend, and ran the mile at BU, which is known as just a really fast track, and ran 4 flat.
4 flat, so point what? It was
4 flat, 0.7.
0.7.
Yeah, and that was after a really rough kind of experience getting warmed up and getting ready for the race. Was told I couldn't run because I didn't check in properly, and was just a wreck. I was like, are you kidding me? I just stayed in DC, missed a whole week of school so that I can run this race, and here I am, like, being told I can't even run. And then my coach was just relentless with getting on the meet director, trying to get me into a heat. And so I ended up getting in a heat like slower than I was told I was going to get in. And so I was just like, once I found out I could run, I was just like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I just wasted all this emotional energy, stressed out of my mind, but just went out side, did a couple strides, just sat with the Lord for like a couple minutes, and was like, okay, I feel like nothing in me wants to do this right now, but just drew from the Lord and just spoke out the lies and got him out of there, and and just went out and kind of was like, this is where I just say full send. Like I might not even finish this race, but I'm just going to go out
for it
and go for it. And so ended up running 4 flat there. So I PR'd, and I was like not even disappointed that I didn't break 4, because I was like just stoked that I finished the race, and better yet, PR'd. So after that emotional kind of experience.
0.7 literally is how much of a, from getting under 4, are we talking a foot?
Yeah, I mean, that's not quite like a lean. Like sometimes like you could lean and get a couple milliseconds, but I mean it's really
right
close.
there.
I mean, if you think about that, so it's an 8 lap to a mile track. So if I would have shaved 0.1 second per lap, then I would have got there.
No problem. So that was that. And then you had one more race.
And then one more race at the New Balance National Meet, which I loved that meet. And it was a great energy, great experience the year before. But I like knew that I was capable of winning this year. And so they set it up for me. They had the lights and the pacer. Yeah. And I ran 4 flat again, right?
2 weeks.
4 flat, 0.4. So that was like a month later, but
okay.
I think if I was it was a little hard because I was by myself for the whole last half of the race, and it's just you versus the clock, really. And
the light, it looked like you did it by the light, didn't you? A little bit. People
are saying, and I think so a little bit. It looks like I was in front of the light. Yeah. So when I crossed the line, I was like, finally, I got it. Like, and then I look up at the board, and it's like 4 minutes, 0.4 seconds. And so you see, if you watch the video, I'm like, I'm like bummed. But then I was like, okay, I just won the national
you're a national
meet,
champion. So that's pretty cool.
Then that set in, and I was super stoked and really happy with it. So I'm very thankful that while both of those could be seen as like negative experiences, I was able to have a real positive experience with it as well.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah, show us that one.
Yeah, so this was my first and only national championship.
So that's
medal,
really cool.
Yeah, that was a
special
one for sure.
Yeah.
And I had a ton of family there that flew to Boston to watch it, which is just really special. And so
it's really fun.
Yeah.
Good memory. Okay. Then headed Clay into your senior year. So you had some records and some obviously good moments and some hard ones. Walk us through your senior year, some of the highs and lows there.
Yeah. So the last maybe 20 years, Kansas distance running hasn't been crazy good, but there's actually some really good history in the midst of Kansas distance running, even beyond Jim Ryan. I mean, 3 of the best milers ever actually are from Kansas.
Okay.
They're a lot from years and years ago. So before we were even talking 4-minute mile, there were some phenomenal milers from Kansas. And so
was one of those Glenn Cunningham or
Glenn Cunningham, Wes Santee, and then there's Jim Ryan as well.
Jim Ryan. So there's a great history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then so what was I saying? Oh yeah. And then there was the 2-mile state record was also in my sight. So was okay, I think I can get the 800 outdoor record. I think I know I can get the 3200. And then the mile would be the dream. Yeah. And so ended up only coming away with the 2-mile record, which was a really hard race. So Sam pulled me through the first 3.5, 4 laps.
Cool. Yeah.
And then
so that means basically you paced for him, right?
Yeah, paced him.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Sam was saying earlier about leading a race by yourself is difficult and it takes more energy. And so when you can kind of just go to sleep mentally and just follow the guy in front of you, that's nice. So Sam did that for me. And then I ran the last mile, and that was one of the hardest track races I've ever run.
Wow.
Just a mental battle out there just versus the clock. I felt like to run 8:40 was the goal. I think 8:46 was the record. I wanted to run 8:40, and you have to run 65 seconds per lap. And I just remember it's 4 laps to go. I'm all right, I'm going to turn it on for this lap. And I came through at 65, and I was all right, now I'm really going to turn it on for this one. Came through at 65. So it's you're working so much harder, but you're just running the same pace. So that was difficult. And so I was right on pace, but then ended up closing it down for the last lap and ran 62 for the last lap. And so got to get under the state record for that one, which was really special.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, came up 0.4 seconds shy in the 800, and then it was like 5 seconds shy in the mile. The mile is, I hope it goes. I mean, I think it'll go untouched for maybe forever. So
it's Jim Ryan.
3:55.
3:55. It's a very fast time.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. So second all time.
Yep. So then talk about some of your journey. I want to hear a little about the steeplechase, Sam.
Yeah, it really wasn't on my radar at all going into senior year. And then Coach Carroll was talking to Caleb Toffland about maybe trying it at like Emporia State's meet, or like, because not many meets offer it in Kansas. And so I was like, oh, that sounds fun. I've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
You know, you're jumping over 5 barriers and then one including a water jump.
Yeah.
So like there's a pit of water, and then you like jump up on the barrier and like spring off of it and try and like clear it with getting as little like getting your foot in as little water as possible. So then like you're not soaked and like it just weighs you down. And so that looked really interesting to me. And so I told my dad about it, and he was like, whenever we like go hiking in the mountains, you're always just like running off boulders, like jumping off. You might be good at it. And so I like trained for it for like probably like 2 weeks, I'd say. I did one workout on the track with just like sprinter hurdles.
Okay.
And then 2 days before I ran it for the first time, I went over to East High, and they let me use their water jumps just so I could
you would just
practice, see what it feels like.
There.
Little experience. And so then I went up to KU Relays and ran the steeplechase there.
He was the only one there, right? Were you the only one from our team that went?
Yeah, I was the only one from our team. None of our coaches went. I just went by myself.
That was when you had a little injury.
I went by myself, just me, my grandma, my dad.
Just drove in your car?
Just drove in my car, got out of math class early, drove up.
It was an evening race?
It was an evening race.
Did you have any goals? I mean, did you know at all what you could do?
I knew what the state record was, which was 5:57 or 5:58. 5:58.
Yeah.
And everyone I'd talked to was like, that's it's a lot harder than you think. And I was kind of like psyching myself out, like,
talk about the splits. Like, what would that be?
So 4:48 through the mile, and then one more lap.
So it's still really...
Still, that's still really fast. But I knew like in a mile repeats workout that we'd do, like we'd run that or faster for like 4 times. And so I was like, I can surely do this for 4 laps plus another one. And I started out a little slower because that's what Coach Randy said. If you get out way too hard, you're going to die.
Yeah, just die on
it's just going to eat you up because you're jumping as well. And so I did that, and then caught up to the leader, passed him, and then came through the mile in 4:50. And so I was like, okay, I have to close hard. I have to close in a 67.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but I still got one more water jump. So I still like coasted for 200, got past the water jump, and then just sprinted home, and then leaned at the line, and then looked up at the board, and I think I cleared it by 0.05.
0.05?
Yeah, I think it was 0.05 or something
record.
like that. Got the state record.
Wow, that is awesome, Sam. That's so fun. His first race ever in the steeple, and we have a state record holder.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see that medal. You have that one?
I think it's this one. Yeah.
There it is.
So that's
the KU Relays.
KU Relays medal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
There's kind of some history with that race too, isn't there? It's a special race.
It is a special race. And even like Jim Ryan, sometimes Billy Mills, Bryce Hoppel, all these really phenomenal runners come out, and because they're grads of KU, and so they come out and you get to see them, and it's
that's
cool.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was cool. So then into state, and you guys had fun defending titles. Again, we talked about that.
Yeah, that was another experience where I kind of went and made the pace, and then I think it was like 2.5 laps, like two laps in the race. I feel someone coming up behind me again, and I hear the same thing that I heard at state, which is like, he's like, I'm here, Clay. And I had to look back, and there's Sam again.
Yeah,
so we got to bring it in together, and we went 1, 2, 3 actually. So Caleb got 3rd place, and I mean, that was really special. I'm not sure if in the mile any team has
ever done that.
Done that in Kansas. So to look back and see Sam coming in right there, and then I looked up at the big billboard at the screen with like 200 to go, and I saw Caleb like trying to move up, but I was like, gosh, it's like still 200 to go. Can he hold him off? And he just fought his way to the line.
That was fun to cheer, and that was fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah, cool. So did that, and then you had a couple more chances. You went to Hoka again. Was it Hoka or not?
Yeah, the Festival Miles. So this is where I ran 401 the year before.
Yeah,
and it's like it is kind of the ultimate like high energy meet. It's like at a small place, but there's still they pack the stand, and they get the DJ and all that stuff, and it's usually a really nice weather night, and so. Yeah, it was same thing. Everything was setting up nicely. And I was like, okay, I ran 1 second off of 4 minutes last year here. I know I can shave 1 more second. So I thought it was like kind of a given that I was going to get there. I knew there was going to be some good competition in the race. And so me and another guy, Drew Griffith, who's was a really phenomenal senior this year and a good friend of mine, we pulled off kind of from the rest of the pack, and we hung together until about 200 meters to go. He pulled away from me, and I was like, knew he was going to get 4 minutes, and I thought I was going to, but then he ended up running 3:57, and I saw the clock freeze because it freezes when he passes the line, and so I saw 3:57, and I knew it stopped, and then so when I passed, I had no clue what my time was because it was frozen at 3:57, but I was like, I'm probably like right at 3 seconds behind him, so I really don't know. And then I walk off, and a good friend who's a podcaster, his name's Dominic Schlieder. He runs the Running Effect podcast. He's like, Clay, you're so close, and he shows me his phone. It's 4 minutes, 0.02 seconds.
02.
So I was
as close as you can get.
Yeah, we had talked about like indoors, like if I would have shaved 0.1 second per lap, or maybe this, like. There is 100 different things that can make up 0.02 seconds. And so that was hard at first, and still was like, there wasn't as much of like a sweetness afterwards. I was like, oh, but I did this. I was like, at that point, I just wanted to do it. And, I try not to make running all about times, and where I'm going at NAU, like they are like, we want you to run fast times, but that's not our goal. We want you to be able to compete, because when you get to things like, the NCAA championships or the world championships or the Olympics, like those usually aren't super fast races. It's about who's the toughest guy in the last 400 meters. And so that's like something I try and view the sport by, but you can't help but just want that goal. And especially when you've been so close. And so I was disappointed a little bit. But I ended up, and then took one more crack at it. But I was like in Philadelphia with Sam, and I was like, I'm just going to go run this race. I'm not even going to try and view it as a sub-4 attempt, but then the race went out at 4 minute pace, and I was on it for 3.5 laps, and just really kind of, once I hit the wall at like 3.5 laps to go with 200 meters to go. So I was like, then I knew like I'm not doing it. So I ended up running like 4:03 at that race, and that was hard too, just because I was
an
like,
emotional kind of ending. Wasn't it?
I told myself I didn't want it, or I didn't need to just chase after it. But then during the race, I was like, this is all I want to do. Like I just want to win this race and get under 4. And two guys did it in that race, and I watched them do it, and it was hard. It was a bummer to end the season like that, but it's when I just really kind of got to start reflecting and realizing just that, it's not all about time, 1, and 2, it's that the Lord is in this, like I don't think I was incapable of running under 4 minutes.
For sure.
But I think that just the Lord had something he wanted to teach
plan.
Me through it, and gave me a story to tell. I kind of had this realization after that race as well that I grew up, or like middle school and beginning of high school, like I spent a lot of my time with the Presence Worship crew and getting involved in worship ministry, and so played guitar and sing, and so that was like my thing. But then I started getting good at running. And so I was like, okay, so this is now like the Lord. I kind of wondered why.
Right.
Like I thought that worship was my thing, but now here's running, like it's becoming this gift in my life. And so just realized that the Lord was like giving this to me now to be a new instrument of worship and to be able to do ministry through running and just glorify him through it. And so that was a really, really sweet journey. And I feel like I just had like a lot of confidence and like that I wasn't wasting my time doing this because of the way that the Lord is blessing me through it, just in my heart, and also just giving me more success than I ever expected to have. And then but I kind of realized that in that last couple of weeks or months of my senior year, wanting that 4-minute barrier, like my eyes were a little bit more on 4 minutes than they were on the Lord. And so that was kind of a hard realization to have, that, I've been maybe a little bit off just in my spirit and my priorities. And so, but the Lord just kindly just redirects us, and he's like, I'm not
so kind.
Yeah. Just didn't feel like any shame or condemnation, but just like realize like, okay, going forward, like it's not about lifting my name up or bringing glory to my name or just running times to be seen or anything like that. But it's really about just stewarding the gifts that the Lord has given us.
Yeah, it's so special, Clay. Well, you've had an amazing testimony. It's been amazing, just our friendship and this, praying with you and watching you grow and just your humility. So, well done in the middle of some adversity, right? Different injuries. And so, but it was amazing. Yeah, the Lord I'm sure will be fun to follow you, what he taught you in the suffering of not getting there as close as you can. But
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Sam, I want to talk a little bit. You're finished with your journey here. So talk about your last race with the steeplechase.
Last race was also in Philadelphia at the New Balance outdoor meet, and ran the steeplechase. It was another night race. I think the goal was just to mix it up with the top guys in the nation and just see what happens, and went out slow. Was in the far back of the pack, and it was a little bit difficult when you're approaching like a barrier and everyone's in front of you, 20 or so guys, and you can't really see the barrier because they're like masking it. And so just stutter stepping and just trying to like figure out where the barrier is, when do I start my jump, especially with the water jump. Like it can be really dangerous. Like I've fallen before in practice, and I was like, just like it wasted a lot of energy, I'd say, just like stutter stepping but so I was like, okay, I got to move up to the front so I can like not have to deal with this the whole race. And so moved up to the front and pretty much just hung on. And last 100 meters, I think I outkicked 2 guys, and then ended up getting 4th.
So that made you an All-American.
All-American.
That's so awesome.
And
again, your second time you've ever ran.
Second time I've ever run it.
And you're an All-American.
Yeah, I was just so grateful.
It's pretty fun
for the
to see how that ended, Sam.
Yeah.
Did you guys have your jerseys from that last race? Did you bring
yeah.
Let's see, show those and talk why these are special.
So, our original goal for this meet was to go and run a 4x8.
Yeah.
And the 4x8 state record was set by Jim Ryan's high school team. They'd run 740, which is an average of like 155 per guy. And so earlier in the season, we ran the 4x8, ran 744, and we were like, oh, in the right race, we can totally do this. And so that was the plan, was to do that in Philadelphia. And I was like, I want to do like something kind of special, because you don't have to wear your school at these meets. And so they made these uniforms for us, which if you look up Jim Ryan, if you just have to scroll a couple pictures down, and you see that this is the jersey that he wore in high school. It's similar to that, but we put a little checker on the back to spice it up. But
that's fun.
Yeah, so we still wore the jerseys for this race, and it was super pretty fun cool to have that.
Yeah, well, Sam, I want to hear your journey a little bit of what it was like personally for you to have to. Here's Clay's kind of in the limelight, and you're you're running, and what was that like? What was helpful? Were there some hard moments for you? And what did you learn in your own journey of perseverance and kind of having Clay always right in front of you? How did that, what some lessons you learned from that?
Yeah, definitely. I think overall it definitely like showed me, like having Clay as my teammate showed me like, I'm capable of reaching these levels.
Yeah.
Like training together every day, pushed me to a level I don't think I'd ever have gotten to if I didn't have Clay as a teammate. And so I think like just growing all 4 years together and our faith and running just was the most positive thing to happen in my life at Trinity, I'd say. And I definitely like sophomore year, I was definitely struggling a lot with just doing soccer and running and eating, and kind of just like motivation was just dropping. I was like, and so, it was difficult seeing Clay like run these crazy times. And I was like, I'm going backwards and he's going way forwards. And so that definitely, at first I was kind of like doubting myself a lot and like, okay, am I really cut out for this sport and stuff like that? But just prayed a lot. My parents definitely talked to me a lot. We're like, just keep going. And Coach Randy, Coach Carroll, super, super pivotal in my faith and me as a person. They poured into me a lot. And so, I got through that. And definitely like, I don't know. I'd say the lessons I've learned are just never give up, just persevere, be relentless, do all the little things. Like that was one thing I learned like more than anything else from Clay was he did all the little things like every single day. Yeah. He was so consistent. And so like people from the outside are like, oh, he's just doing these things. Like he just shows up to the race and runs 4 flat. But like I got to see, no, this is what he's doing every single day. Like he's the most disciplined guy in the state of Kansas and probably the nation. And like, there's a reason why he's running so fast. And so that definitely inspired me too, to be more disciplined and stuff. And so,
So it clicked with you.
It clicked. Yeah.
And it paid off by the end.
It paid off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has been fun to watch you guys. You guys have had an amazing team. Not just you guys, but your whole team. Yeah. Coach Carroll, Coach Randy, they were so helpful, weren't they? Those guys.
They were. Yeah.
Totally.
Amazing coaches, amazing community, a lot of support. So
I mean, it just shows so much. Like none of us were like probably going to be standout runners on our own, or we never would have seen a state championship or anything if it wasn't just for the way that we were able to spur one another on and just we were all just dedicated to it together. No one started like tremendously ahead of the other person, and workouts weren't competitions or things like that. It was just leaning into it together and having coaches that believed in us. And also just wanted to talk about you a little bit. So you are like, you've also been pivotal for us about, we're made up of our body, mind, and our spirit, our body, soul, spirit. And so we work our bodies a lot. And so that we see that growth, and then we work on our soul and our mind and our will and emotions and things like that. But then we got to work on our spirit too, always growing with the Lord and our identity in Him. And you've been a person for both me and Sam just to help us push us, encourage us, keep us in check.
Praying together, all that.
Yeah, pray with us. I can't tell you how many times I've called you before a race and just receive and just you'll pray over me and remind us just to run from our spirit as well as from our body and the work we put in, both with the Lord and in our training and things like that. And so we're very thankful.
It's my honor. I loved it. You guys have inspired me. I've had a long dream to run, and for whatever reason haven't, different health things, but just the last couple of years walking, running, and believing for more to run. And so you guys have inspired me, but inspired lots of people. It seemed like we would run in. I'd always, I think your senior year, I walked in 2 different times. I'm like walking into the track, and there you were, and we'd stop and pray real quick,
right?
Get a picture, and then you guys would be on. I think that happened twice. So.
I don't know if you remember this. It was
This
is like the craziest story ever. It was I think it was our junior year
track,
state track.
Yeah.
It was me, Caleb, and Clay were warming up for the 1600, and Caleb was just nervous out of his mind. I think we were both a bit nervous too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we were just chatting in the warm up, and we were running around the Wichita State campus. And I think I like brought up something about my grandma on my mom's side. She like told me, just remember, you have so many people praying for you. And so that should just give you peace when you toe the line. And Clay was like, yeah, that's so true. Like, I always think of Matthew Pinner when you say that. And he was like, he's just always praying for us. And so we were running on 21st Street right by, I think it might have been Fairmount.
Yeah, the coffee shop.
Fairmount Coffee Shop. Literally 10 seconds after Clay says that, we see you over by Fairmount Coffee Shop. You pop out of the door with your coffee with a friend. You're leaving the building.
And yelled out at you guys or something?
That, hey, I'm praying for you guys. I just want you to know that. And we just our mouths just go.
We're just like,
oh my goodness.
Oh
yeah,
my
that
gosh,
was a fun moment.
Right
it was
there.
the Lord.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, it's been, again, my pleasure to be with you guys. And it's not stopping. You get your spiritual coach. I can, in college, I want to keep following you guys.
That's right.
Yeah. So just walk us through what college. Yeah. Tell us where you're going. Again, you said at the beginning, but where you're going, Sam, and just kind of your goals there.
Yeah, going to the University of Mississippi, aka Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, the SEC.
The SEC down south. Definitely super excited for it. I just love the team when I visited. Love the coaches. Good Christian community down there, and I know that they will have my best interests in mind, and just looking forward to keep progressing.
Maybe you'll do the steeplechase.
Maybe.
Just kind of see what happens.
See what happens.
It's a little different. It's 5K, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See what the team needs, and if that's in the table, if that's on the cards, I'll do it.
Yeah. So we know Ole Miss, for many people, they may not know Northern Arizona, NAU.
Yeah.
But in the track and running world, that's kind of a big deal, Clay.
Yeah. So I'm going to Northern Arizona University, and it's in Flagstaff, Arizona, which if you think of Arizona, you don't usually think of what Flagstaff's like. Flagstaff's actually up at 7,000 feet. It's not in the hot desert. They get some snow there in the winter and stuff. To me, it's one of the most beautiful places in the United States. So I'm more than just thrilled and honored to be joining that program. And so it's actually kind of cool story, like full circle, because part of the thing that kind of helped us catch vision for the team that Ian had showed us was this team NAU, and they ran with just the most grit out of anyone in NCAA, and they just had this amazing team culture. And there's a little documentary too that we watched called "Running with the Boys," and they just put it on YouTube. It used to only be on FlowTrack, but now you can watch it on YouTube.
Cool.
So we watched that, and so that I was introduced to NAU, and just was always inspired by them. And so when I got that recruiting email, I was pretty thrilled, but wasn't sure if it'd be the right fit for me. You know, I think some people think of them more as a cross country school, and track's a little bit more my focus. And so, but ended up, that was one of the 4 schools I visited. It was the last school I visited, and just felt like total confirmation from the Lord while I was there that was where I was supposed to be, and amazing coaches, guys that love the Lord there. And so, just am excited to embark on this next journey. And I want to contribute as much as I can and on the cross country team, but also I'm really excited to be developed as a 1,500 meter guy as well. And so there's some guys that run that distance there as well, and as well as the 5 and 10K. So
it'll be fun to compete with those guys.
Absolutely.
Well, Wichita will be cheering you guys on for sure, love. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
So special. Anything else, guys? Are we good?
We're good.
We're good.
All right. Awesome.